More snow in the forecast. Are we going to get snow that looks like this, or are we going to get more snow that looks like this right here? Coming up, we'll break it all down for you in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
I just want to be, and I don't want to have to worry and be on high alert.
Attacked at her front door and left naked in her yard, where the search stands for the person responsible. Fighting to clear his name, how someone else's criminal investigation landed one Middle Tennessee man in trouble with the IRS.
Look how high this water is.
Deadly flooding in the Mid-South, the confusion survivors face tonight. Shocking items for sale on the dark web, what the government is doing to protect you. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News, we're in a Code Red weather alert because here in 24 hours, snow will start falling in parts of the mid-state. Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Brett Luna is here now with snow totals, how much we could see, and what part of the viewing area will be impacted.
Yeah, Megan, just kind of the short on that real quick. I think it's going to be our northwestern areas. They're going to get it first. They're also going to see the highest snowfall totals too. Once that system drops further down to the south and to the east, we're not going to get quite as much snow the further south that it goes. So as of right now, this is kind of just a general map that I made earlier. 2 to 4 inches of snow possible north of I-40, maybe a little bit higher in our southwestern Kentucky counties. Generally 1 to 3 inches if you're in areas south of Interstate 40. Some roads could get slick, especially on the bridges and overpasses, so just keep that in mind if you have to get out on the roads Tuesday night or Wednesday. We're also going to be seeing temperatures remain below freezing from Wednesday night, possibly through Friday morning. So we do have a cold stretch once this winter storm moves on out of here behind that. So winter storm warnings in effect. Everybody in this shade of pink, all of southern Kentucky, most of our counties here in Middle Tennessee, along and north of Interstate 40, all in that winter storm warning. And then all these purple colors, those are winter weather advisories. Within that winter storm warning, like we were just talking, 2 to 4 inches possible here. These are going to be in place from 9 p.m. Tuesday night, and they're going to stay in place through noon on Wednesday. Some of those impacts, though, could stick around a little bit longer, just simply because we're going to be so cold, that's going to have a hard time to melt quickly. Snowfall totals 4 to 6 inches, but this is just in the very, very far northwestern portions of our viewing area, basically the northern half of our southern Kentucky counties. So that is definitely not going to be the story for everybody. 3 to 4 inches more likely here along the Tennessee and Kentucky state line, and then just south of that, closer to Interstate 40, that does include Nashville. I'm going to go with 2 to 3 inches possible right there, and then further south, this is going to be a little south of Murfreesboro, 1 to 2 inches possible in those spots, and then along the Tennessee and Alabama state line, those are going to be the lowest snowfall totals, maybe up to an inch right there. But it is going to stay cold. Here's some of these temperatures for the next few days. Low temperatures starting out Wednesday morning, lower 20s, 31 the high on Wednesday. That's a degree below freezing. Thursday is going to be a very cold day. We could hit 24. That's all we go for the high temperature on a Thursday. Start out that morning with temperatures barely in the double digits. Right now, some areas already below freezing. Actually, most areas below freezing. We're right at freezing now here in Nashville, Columbia, Lewisburg, Lawrenceburg. So it's going to be a chilly start to the morning. I'll have more details on that timing coming up here, taking it hour by hour in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
And we want to know what you think. Are you prepared for Tuesday night's winter weather? This poll live right now. These votes coming in real time so far. 358 people have weighed in. 70.9% say yep, they're ready. 29.1% say no. Still time to cast your vote. This poll is live right now. Scan the QR code there on your screen. It will take you over to our X page. You can also find it by our handle on X, which is at Fox Nashville, and we'll show you updated poll results here a little later in the newscast.
They found me and bloody, battered, bruised, and left for dead.
In Operation Crime and Justice, a woman sharing her traumatic story with Fox 17 News as Springfield police are looking for the person responsible. She says someone attacked her from behind, knocked her out, left her half naked outside, all right outside of her front door. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar here in studio with a warning tonight.
And to raise awareness for this type of crime, we warn you, the story you're about to watch is graphic.
I just don't, I just want to be. I just want to not have stuff going on.
Michelle Jackson recalling a nightmare
She says someone hit her in the back of the head right outside her front door around 10 at night at the Skyview Terrace Apartments in Springfield.
I was trying to get in to my door. I remember that part, and then I remember seeing a bright light. And then I woke up in the ICU at Skyline, the neuro ICU, and I was pulling the tube out where I had been intubated. And so that's just what I know.
Her neighbor, Belinda Becerra, helped her piece things together.
She was laying right here at the corner of the end where you see that concrete.
She tells me Jackson was half naked in that yard when she went to check on her at nearly 4 in the morning. This police report corroborates that and even says Jackson was dragged.
Her hands had done drew. There was blood running down the side of her legs. There was blood on her hands.
Photos from Jackson show the brutality.
I had a hematoma, which is a brain bleed, and I had encephalitis, which is brain swelling.
The pain, not just physical, but emotional. 1 month later.
I just want to be, and I don't want to have to worry and be on high alert and be just confused about what happened.
She's determined to figure out who did this and prays other women won't have to go through the same thing. In the meantime, Jackson and Becerra want property management to install security cameras. We reached out to ask if that's a possibility, but so far, no response. Springfield police tell me at this time they are investigating and can't release any further information. Jackson tells me police have no leads at this time, and she's still waiting for an arrest. In studio, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, continuing coverage of the severe storms that ripped across the Mid-South over the weekend. Deadly flash flooding caused damage in Kentucky and Tennessee. We know at least 12 people in Kentucky are dead from fast rising water. So far, though, no deaths have been reported in Tennessee. President Trump approved Kentucky's request for a disaster declaration.
Do you even know where to start?
Nope, I don't.
Almost 48 hours since strong storms and heavy rain rocked the mid-state. Some people still don't know what's next in Clarksville, where heavy rain flooded out several homes. Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffey found out where help is available, but the process, he says, is not an easy one.
Management here at the retreat at Concord Apartments tell me they've offered hotel rooms and relocation options, trying to get people into new units because these units on the lower level, they're still underwater, as you can see, and renters do have some renters insurance question, which leaves the future uncertain.
Look how high this water is.
Karsha Thomas's family came by Saturday night to help her and her grandson escape the flooding. The water to their knees at that point, later rising higher than these cars.
I looked right here and seen that car, and all the other cars was on the water, and my car was right here, so I immediately went inside and grabbed my keys.
Thomas saved her car, but James Elliott and others did not get to theirs in time. He had to come rescue his daughter and others.
It was up to me about right here. Yeah. It was whipped in here, and it was scary. Ice cold, scary. You know, didn't know what you were walking in, plus you don't know what's in the water. You know, it could be toxic, anything, you know. But other than that, I guess God will find a way to make us all clear and get it done.
Elliott's daughter lives on the top floor. No damage there, but 2 days later, the bottom floor still underwater.
Do you even know where to start?
Nope, I don't.
Thomas hopes she can wash and salvage some clothes, but she assumes her bed and TV are gone and has not been able to get back in yet to check on other valuables.
I was paying for insurance with my rent. It was in with my rent, but it wasn't for me. It was for the apartment. So I won't get anything to recover anything that I lost, and I've lost everything.
What are people doing who do not have renter's insurance, or if their plan does not cover floods? We reached out to TEMA and the apartment complex managers. Management says they're trying to help people with new places to live, including letting victims break their lease. TEMA tells me they need to wait for the water to recede before fully assessing the damage. That's when federal assistance could be requested, which Kentucky already did. Then grants could come in for those without help from insurance. The Red Cross is another resource until then. TEMA workers I spoke with today say that they don't expect these water levels to recede fully for at least a few days, and those few days include the potential for snow and colder temperatures in our Code Red forecast, so not an easy wait for people who want to get back in and see what's inside. In Clarksville, Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Still a concern why those living in Clarksville say they're not out of the woods yet.
Coming up next, the almost hard-to-believe double victimization of a man who was first victimized by a notorious lawyer who's now in jail, and then was victimized by the investigation that followed. And now he's victimized maybe again by the IRS. You judge for yourself. The story's next.
This Fox 17 News Code Red Alert is sponsored by Sarah Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac.
Well, Andy Allman is a Middle Tennessee lawyer serving 30 years for stealing from over 100 victims. Some of them lost amounts of money in the six-figure range. And despite the conviction, the troubles are far from over for one of his former clients. Dennis Ferrier unravels it all in tonight's Fox 17 News investigation.
The TBI seized all of Andy Allman's files when he was arrested. In those files, a Hendersonville man's tax record. So why does that matter? Stay with us.
This one right here.
Randy Johnson has so many letters and documents and files. It's hard to keep them in order. He's a man in bad standing with the IRS, apparently through no fault of his own. Johnson is one of Andy Allman's 118 victims. He hired Allman to sue a business competitor that was allegedly defaming him.
I took our inheritance to him, and I told him, I said, look, I'm not a rich man, and I can't afford this. I said, but I'm going to trust you with it. And he laughed, and he said, oh, man, he said, we're going to get him. We're going to, you won't have to worry about nothing else. He said, the rest of your life.
The opposite is true. There hasn't been one day without worry. In order to sue, Allman said he needed all of Johnson's tax records from 2007 to 2016.
I got notification that the TBI had seized my tax documentation because they found my tax documentation in his garage under 2 cases of Coors Light beer. He'd never made any copies of them. They was going to use it in the case against Mr. Allman as evidence, and that I would be getting it back.
But Randy Johnson says he did not get his tax records back, and when the IRS accused him of not filing in 2012, he didn't have the records to prove it. Finally, investigators gave Randy Johnson a thumb drive with the tax records, with one big problem. 2012 was missing. Somehow, some way, along the way, it got lost. Authorities even wrote a letter saying the tax records were missing. But the IRS said they didn't have a record of Johnson's 2012 taxes. Johnson said he turned them in. We don't know, because their whereabouts is the very conflict of this story. We do know this from IRS letters. The IRS keeps changing the amount Johnson owed for 2012. In September 2022, they had Johnson owing $18,982, but by December, they had dropped it in half down to $9,083. Then in April of 23, it jumps to $31,506.
What is the IRS saying now? Right now? What are
that
they
I
saying?
owe them $37,000.
And what if you don't pay?
Well, I'm in a non-collective status right now, but if I make one penny over $50,000 in a year, they're going to start taking my stuff and garnishing my check and taking me to court, and they said I might do jail time, for something I didn't do, something that I had nothing to do with. I done my part, they lost it, and now I'm in trouble for it.
We can't say for sure that Mr. Johnson filed or didn't file his 2012 taxes, but we do know these are extraordinary circumstances. And Mr. Johnson says he's been filing for 37 years. Why would he do something like this to himself? Which brings us to the questions to the IRS. These are extraordinary circumstances. Should you really be imposing this penalty? And secondly, why all the different figures? I mean, someone owes what they owe, right?
The IRS has not answered our questions yet. They are having a moment themselves as an agency.
None of it is consistent.
Randy Johnson, of course, believes he has the perfect resolution.
And I'm thinking, I don't owe this money. I shouldn't have to pay it.
We are anxious to hear back from the IRS. If you've been following the news, they have a lot of turmoil right now. But when we do hear anything, we will update this story. We need to get to the bottom of this one. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, the torrential rain over the weekend triggered flash flooding across many parts of Montgomery County, leading to several water rescues. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan continues our coverage from here.
We're slowly starting to see those floodwaters recede here, but just devastation for a lot of these homeowners here on Kirby Drive. You can see most of the houses completely submerged underwater along with some of these vehicles. But parts of Concord Drive were also submerged after heavy rain pummeled into the area here in Clarksville. And in some cases, water rushed into these homes so fast that residents didn't realize it until it was too late. Take a listen.
Everyone was just panicking. I mean, we were swimming, trying to get through the water, trying to save our cars. We were coming together to help each other.
When I came, the water was like above my knee. By the time I left, it was all the way to my waist.
Floodwaters could take days to recede, and with the crest at the Cumberland River, officials urge residents to turn around. Do not drown. The Cumberland River in Clarksville crested early Monday morning around 6 a.m., nearly 51 feet, leaving some roads in the area impassable, but nothing like the 2010 flood where it was crested at 61 feet. In Clarksville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, you can help us tell the weather story. You can submit your pictures and video on the Chime In section of our website, fox17.com. All right, gearing up for a different kind of beast of weather moving our way here tomorrow night. So we're counting down the hours.
We are counting down the hours. So we just had the severe weather, the flooding too that Madeline was just talking about. And then we're going to see the winter storm move in. I want to kind of go back to what we were just talking about though, just kind of playing off of Madeline's story right there. She brought a great story to you. Just some crazy flooding that we had up in our northern areas. Also, that Chime In too that Megan was just mentioning, that is super helpful for us because we can see what radar is showing us. We can get some of these estimated rainfall totals, but once we see y'all's pictures that y'all submit to our Chime In page, we can actually see what's going on out there. So that's super helpful. It's helpful for flooding events, also for snowfall events too, like we're going to get, and that's why we're code red for that incoming snow. I just want to show you this really quickly though. 7-day rainfall totals. These are radar estimated 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 10 inches up there along the Tennessee and Kentucky line, and that's where we saw a lot of those flooding issues. Here's some of the highest rainfall totals that we had over the weekend. Just 2 days worth, 7.89, almost 8 inches of rain there in Cedar Hill, almost 7.5 inches in Summertown. So it was a very active couple of days for us, a lot of heavy rainfall. But this right here is why we're code red. Winter storm warnings in effect, and everybody in that shade of pink. Southern Kentucky areas along and north of Interstate 40. That winter storm warning is in place from 9 p.m. Tuesday to noon on Wednesday. Snowfall totals there 2 to 4 inches, at least here in Middle Tennessee. I think we may get slightly higher snowfall amounts in the very far northwestern portion of our viewing area. Basically, our southwestern counties, the northern half of our southwestern counties in southwest Kentucky. Winter weather advisory is in place for all these counties that are highlighted in purple. 1 to 2 inches possible there. Same time frame on that. 9 p.m. Tuesday to noon on Wednesday. I showed this map earlier, but this is the big story for us along Interstate 40. I think we're looking at 2 to 3 inches. Higher totals north, lower totals to the south. Maybe up to 1 inch or so along the Tennessee and Alabama line. Radar not showing much of anything right now for us. It's actually pretty calm out there. That does change though once we hit tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be off to a dry start. Fast forward though, tomorrow afternoon by about 4 or 5 o'clock, I think some of those snow showers are going to start to move into our far northwestern areas. That's who's going to get the snowfall first. It's going to keep on dropping to the south and east through the rest of the night. This is 10 p.m. on Tuesday, and you can see this is Interstate 40 right here. So it's going to start to close in on Interstate 40. I think that's also when we start to see the snow showers fall right here in Nashville. This is midnight still along and north of Interstate 40, the better chance of seeing the snow. And this is a very recent model run that just came in about an hour or two ago. So this is one of the most updated model runs that we have of this winter storm. This is 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. It starts to get more widespread, and then it stays pretty widespread through the rest of Wednesday morning. And then by late Wednesday morning on into the afternoon, that snow is going to be clearing off of the plateau. And then we're not going to see any more actively falling snow, but it's just going to be so cold that that snow is going to stick around for a couple of days. We're looking at pretty calm conditions, but very cold air. I'll have more details on what the rest of your next couple of days looks like coming up here in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Egg prices on the rise. Why President Trump says it's not his fault. And Southwest offering new special flights to Nashville. What they require to land the deal. In the economy, President Trump promising to bring down the price of eggs on the first day of his presidency. And tonight he's responding to questions surrounding why they remain at an all-time high.
The flu. It was a long, before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden.
Experts say the bird flu actually caused egg prices to shoot up 15%, all within the last month. In consumer news, Southwest Airlines now offering late-night flights to Nashville. You have to depart from LA, Vegas, or Phoenix to get the overnight flights. Southwest says it hopes to have up to 36 red-eyes by the end of June.
Some of the most sensitive taxpayer information could soon be in the hands of the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, and I'll have the story coming up.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, what the Department of Education threatened in a recent letter.
Well, tonight in our Waste Watch report, we put the spotlight on Doge. Fox 17 News' Matt Gelka taking a closer look at the sensitive taxpayer data that Elon Musk may soon have access to.
A member of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is expected to gain access to one of the most secure systems of the Internal Revenue Service. The Washington Post reports the Doge team could have access to the Integrated Data Retrieval System, an account with detailed information on millions of American taxpayers that very few have access to. Unauthorized access is considered a felony. The Trump administration says it's needed because of Doge's mission to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. But Democrats don't see it that way. California Democrat Jimmy Gomez called the IRS access a 5-alarm warning in a post on X, saying Musk and Doge's actions are a blatant power grab and illegal. Democrats have been bashing Doge's work, including a push for layoffs across the government, with cuts that have recently hit the IRS and also the VA.
Here's a message that they're waging a war on veterans. They're doing willy-nilly layoffs at the VA.
The firings hitting the IRS come during a busy tax season. Republicans have generally cheered on Doge's work despite the cuts.
When you start cutting departments, some people's jobs are lost. And that it hurts us because we don't want anybody to lose their job. But at the same time, we have to get it under control, because if we don't get our debt under control, it becomes a national security. Can you imagine if we get downgraded?
The firings also extended to the Federal Aviation Administration, with hundreds of probationary employees being let go. The cuts come weeks after a deadly passenger jet crash in Washington, D.C. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posted that Musk's SpaceX team would be helping to modernize the air traffic control system. Doge also continued to target DEI programs, with the group claiming to cancel almost $400 million worth of education grants over the weekend. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
Well, looking ahead to Wednesday on Fox 17 News, Middle Tennessee continues to grow, and that comes with some growing pains. One of the biggest, of course, being traffic.
That's an absolute nightmare for people that live in Hendersonville and work in town, or that live in Murfreesboro and work in town and have to go back.
Part of their commute, they're considering moving. Now, Nashville's Department of Transportation is working on a new plan, and it involves working with businesses. How it would all work Wednesday on Fox 17 News at 9. Well, tonight, diversity programs at the Department of Education under fire. Fox 17 News' Kayla Gaskins has a look at the controversy.
Doge's newest target, diversity, equity, and inclusion at the Department of Education, identifying 70 DEI training grants amounting to $373 million. According to Doge, one such grant trained teachers to engage in self-reflection to confront their own biases and racism. This comes as the Department of Education continues its crackdown on DEI programs and policies in schools. On Friday, the acting assistant secretary sent out a letter reminding institutions any discrimination based on race, color, or national origin is illegal, adding institutions failing to comply with federal civil rights law face potential loss of federal funding. Critics quick to respond.
What does this mean? Are they going to take away funding from historically black colleges? Are they going to take away funding from public schools that have a Latino student union? To me, it indicates just the fanatical obsession that this administration has in terms of going against DEI.
Meanwhile, the Education Department opening up investigations into whether 5 Northern Virginia school districts are in violation of federal law by allowing transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms matching their gender identity. And as that investigation unfolds, Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner conceding the party has some soul searching to do.
I think the majority of the party realizes that the ideological purity of some of the groups is a recipe for disaster, and that candidly the attack on over-the-top wokeism was a valid attack.
A recently published Gallup poll found 45% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents want their party to become more moderate. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Well, tomorrow's going to be a cool day for us. Lower 40s, 41 our high temperature for tomorrow. That's going to put us 14 degrees below normal for this time of year. Average high temperature 55 degrees. So it's going to get cold tomorrow, but it's only going to get colder as we head through the next few days. On top of that, we're going to bring in a chance for some snow as well. Because of that, winter storm warnings in effect. That's for all of southern Kentucky and most of our counties here in Middle Tennessee along and north of Interstate 40. Could see 2 to 4 inches possible within that shade of pink. That's the winter storm warning. These advisories and warnings are going to be in place from 9 p.m. Tuesday night on through all of Wednesday morning. They're going to expire at noon on Wednesday. But some of those impacts could still be sticking around with us simply because it's going to stay really cold. So bridges and overpasses, just be careful on any of those. Winter storm warnings for the north, winter weather advisories for most counties further south. Some of that snow should start to move into areas in southwest Kentucky by the early evening hours or very late in the afternoon, very early on a Tuesday evening. So the best snow chance for the rest of us is going to come overnight. A good chance for snow. That's going to stick around for us on Wednesday morning, but then it clears on out of here by late Wednesday morning. And then the next few days, we're going to see pretty calm and quiet conditions. It's going to stay cold though. So bottom line, higher totals north of Interstate 40, lower totals south of Interstate 40. Roads could be slick, so just keep an eye out for that, especially on bridges and overpasses.
Back to work for the drugs and weapons criminals could want. Why policing the dark web is so difficult.
Coming up Tuesday morning, we will be about 12 hours away from an expected winter storm. Our Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus will be tracking any changes to the forecast, including the snow totals and the impacted zones. We'll see you starting at 4 a.m.
Back to work for the Vandy boys tonight. Vanderbilt baseball had originally scheduled its home opener for tomorrow, but because of the snow expected to come in, the team decided to move up its game against Air Force to tonight. Now, Vandy boys able to get on the board first thanks to a balk in the 4-1 over Air Force in Game 1. Game 2 set for tomorrow. The NHL's new Best on Best tournament, the Four Nations Face-Off, continued tonight in Boston, where Preds forward Gus Nyquist was able to help Team Sweden get on the board. The latest AP men's basketball poll came out today, and while the SEC still dominates the rankings, a little bit of a shakeup this week, including the Tennessee Vols moving out of the top 5. Vols slipping to number 6 in both the USA Today coaches poll and the Associated Press. This comes after Tennessee split its 2 games this past week, first losing to Kentucky, and head coach Rick Barnes hopes that the NCAA recognizes just how tough the SEC has been this year.
Our league, if there's 12, 13, whatever, teams that are NCAA worthy, I think they should be there. If they've got overall quality wins, they should be there because this has been a historic season for this league and we should be rewarded for it.
To Coach Barnes' point, the SEC has 3 teams in the top 4 in the poll, 5 in the top 7. Auburn's still the #1 team in the country after the Tigers took down the Crimson Tide over the weekend. Alabama then dropped to number 4 in the latest AP poll. Vols have 5 more regular season games left, starting with 7th-ranked Texas A&M on Saturday, while Vanderbilt still has 6 games left, starting with 17th-ranked Kentucky on Wednesday. Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
And we are in a Code Red, a weather alert. We have a winter storm that's going to be headed our way. We're looking at snowfall totals anywhere from about 1 to 4 inches, depending on where you're at. I break it all down and also have more on the timing coming up here in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
And anything is for sale on the dark web. What makes policing this cyberspace so difficult? And have you seen these pictures yet? Unbelievable. A plane ending up upside down while landing. The conditions that were not playing a role. The dark web, a marketplace of websites filled with illegal activity. You can buy anything from illegal drugs to weapons or worse. All of this despite the best efforts of law enforcement. Spotlight on America national investigative correspondent Angie Moreski takes a closer look at why it's so hard to stop them.
take us onto the dark web.
Getting on the dark web is not something most of us do.
The main sites have mostly drugs, fraud, and digital.
Jacob Lott, an internet security expert and white hat hacker who helps businesses fight cybercrime, guided Spotlight through the complicated process.
You have to use a VPN.
First, using a virtual private network to encrypt your internet location.
Do the Tor browser install.
Then downloading a special browser called the Onion Router or Tor, which blocks the tracking of your movements.
Are you in?
Yep.
Once you're in,
what do you see?
Cocaine, weed, Xanax.
You find many online marketplaces for illegal goods and services.
Stolen credit cards, accounts, passwords, emails, any kind of number of drugs that you can think of, firearms, and other hacking services.
The sale of drugs, weapons, and tools for fraud is rampant, but also much worse.
There's sex trafficking, there's, they're selling a lot of child porn, they're selling things that people are going to put a value on to pay to see or experience.
Incredibly disturbing things Spotlight documented included ads for the sale of human organs, murder for hire, even tickets to watch torture, many images too graphic to show.
It's a group effort to fight the dark web.
It is, and not just domestically, internationally.
The Secret Service is among the multiple government agencies that fight illegal activity on the dark web.
From credit card fraud to sextortion to child exploitation material.
Secret Service Supervisory Criminal Investigator Ken Henderson told Spotlight their agency's role is to investigate financial crimes on the dark web, often going undercover.
Go where the criminals are, see what they're talking about.
So basically you guys are trying to infiltrate their networks.
Correct, yeah.
Last fall, the Secret Service helped take down a $1 billion Russian money laundering operation where 3 illicit cryptocurrency exchanges were seized. Visitors to those sites are now greeted with this message from law enforcement saying the domain was seized.
The challenge is figuring out who that person is sitting behind the keyboard. Could be somebody down the street, or it could be somebody in Siberia.
While there are successes, investigations can take years.
Is it a matter of these criminals making a mistake? Someone always makes a mistake.
Yeah, and it's sometimes not when they're doing the crime, but when they're just online doing their own personal thing. Sometimes they mix up accounts.
FBI search warrant!
The FBI is another key agency policing illegal activity on the dark web. This video is from a takedown in 2019.
I got some pills over here.
It targeted opioid sales on the dark net and led to 5 arrests in California.
How do you finally get the bad guy?
We've had a lot of success in the past. People taking vacations. They want to use these hard-earned dollars of theirs that they got committing financial crimes, and they want to go lounge on a beach somewhere. Well, we're waiting for them.
The FBI is the primary agency responsible for policing the dark web, especially for those horrific crimes like child sex trafficking. We have requested an interview with them to learn more about their efforts. They told Spotlight they are considering our request. We'll stay on it and report back with any updates. For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski.
Well, if you've ever been a victim of a financial crime, the Secret Service wants you to report it. They say it could be key in tracking down the bad guys. You can see how to do that at spotlightinvestigates.com.
And we are in a code red weather alert today. This is going to be for the chance for some snowfall, some decent snowfall totals too. We were in a code red weather alert just a couple of days ago. That was for that round of severe weather. Now we're going to transition this over to that winter storm. So winter storm warnings in effect for all of southern Kentucky, northern counties here in Middle Tennessee too. If you're along or north of Interstate 40, you're included in that winter storm warning. The only exception, Putnam County, Cumberland County, both in that winter weather advisory. Winter weather advisory is in effect for everybody south of Interstate 40. That's everybody in that shade of purple. Both of these, though, the warning and the advisory, they're going to kick in at Tuesday at 9 p.m. They're going to stay in place through Wednesday morning, Wednesday at noon. 2 to 4 inches possible in the shade of pink, 1 to 2 inches possible in that winter weather advisory. And this is the big story right here as far as how much snow you might pick up at your place. Clarksville right now going with 3 to 4 inches of snow possible. Nashville 2 to 3 inches or so. Murfreesboro 1 to 3 inches. Maybe northern areas of Rutherford County get a little bit more than the southern areas. areas of Rutherford County. And then down here near the Tennessee and Alabama state line, those are going to be the lowest snowfall totals, maybe up to an inch down there. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in effect for all of these counties that are in pink and purple. Here's this snowfall that's going on right now in areas north of here. Once we move on into late Tuesday, that's going to start to work its way further closer down to our area, further south, and that's going to start to move into our counties in southwest Kentucky by the time we hit late Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday morning, we're going to be dry. We're all dry tonight, too. Tuesday afternoon, we're going to stay nearly all dry. This is Tuesday 5 p.m., though. We just start to see some of those snow showers begin to move into parts of southwest Kentucky. That'll keep on dropping down to the south and east as we head through the rest of the night on Tuesday. Here's 10 p.m. right here. This is Interstate 40. The best chance for snow by 10 p.m. along and north of Interstate 40. I think that's when we're going to start to see some of these flurries fly, and then that snow is actually going to start to make its way down to the ground and stick. The later we go into the night on into early Wednesday morning. The bulk of the snowfall with this system is going to come through late Tuesday night into very early Wednesday morning. You can see 4 p.m. it is widespread. A lot of blue popping up on the map. By 6 p.m. a lot of that has moved on out of our area, and then I think by about 8, 9, 10 o'clock we're going to start to lose that snow chance. So the bulk of the activity very late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. We are still looking at some widespread snow showers possible. Beyond that, everything does kind of calm down and clear on out. We're going to stay dry for Thursday. Friday we're dry. Saturday we're going to be dry too. Sunday I think it's mostly dry, but we do have this system that's developing down here in the Gulf. If that moves up a little bit further to the north, that could leave us with a chance for some showers. Current temperatures right now, everybody below freezing except right here in Nashville. We are at 32. Forecast for tonight, 26 right here in Nashville. Some areas obviously going to go a little bit lower than that. 31 the high on Wednesday, mid-20s on Thursday, mid-30s on Friday. Overnight low temperatures Wednesday night and Thursday night could just barely be in the double digits.
Well, ruling out key factors, what investigators say did not cause a plane to flip while landing. And a restaurant offer backed by popular demand, the promotion trying to get your business. Well, new tonight, investigators are ruling out some factors after a plane ended up on its roof in Toronto all during landing. First responders say the runway was dry and there was no crosswinds at the time. 18 people got hurt with 80 rescues inside that Delta Airlines flight. The plane took off from Minneapolis this afternoon, and passengers say they felt like bats hanging upside down waiting for help.
When we hit, it was just a super hard, like I hit the ground and the plane went sideways, and I believe we skidded like on our side and then flipped over on our back.
Wow. Well, 2 runways will remain closed while this crash is investigated. The Cheddar Bay biscuits aren't the only thing to write home about. The promotion that's back at one popular seafood restaurant. In your consumer news, Red Lobster bringing back its Lobster Fest. The company promises a bigger payoff for you. The new meal deal offers 10 types of lobster dishes with the ability to create your own. New dishes served in the deal include lobster and shrimp linguine, garlic butter poached Maine lobster, lobster mac and cheese, and a lobster roll. The meal deals last for the next 2 months.
It is a movie to inspire a healthy conversation about eating disorder awareness. I'm Liz Bonus. How you can see it just ahead.